Dancing to my theme music because I can. Hello, Megalich. Hello, Heine. Oh, welcome to Sunday night. And I have no idea why I'm talking like that. I have no idea why I do anything, quite honestly. Still, it is weird to me when you drink something and it tastes like smoke. It's my clarified smoky old-fashioned. Hey, Greg, how you doing? Congratulations to you and Queenie, by the way. Exciting times. Saw the photos. Very nice. Cheers to you. And Dazor, we come to the end of another weekend. And hey, Luke. Oh, Luke. Oh, well, I hope people are looking after you. And kudos to you for seeking help for mental health. It can be a challenge for people. Like someone fucking breaks an arm or something. You don't go, oh, I'm not going to go to hospital. So if there's mental health challenges, actually getting the help is an extremely positive step. You know, often the first step of many. But yeah. Hello, Megalich. What was that? Oh, there's that song from, and my sense of time is very wrong. I was going to say 10 years. It was probably 20 years ago. Hello. Who was that by? The internet will probably tell us. Let me just go. Hello, song. It was Hello. It was the Cat Empire. But part of my head was going, it's Cat Empire, isn't it? But no, there wasn't. Okay, it was put on YouTube 10 years ago. Well, there you go. That's my first little bit of trivia for the night. It was the song I was thinking of was by Cat Empire. I'm going to go Cat Empire release date. No, it's right. There's on YouTube 10 years ago, but it was actually released 2003. It's 20 years old. Yep, that's my old brain. My very old brain can't tell the difference between 10 years ago and 20 years ago. And I'm not joking and I'm not exaggerating. I initially thought 10 years was probably a good guess. And then I just went, nah, the way I just can't get any realistic sense of time, it was probably 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. So, good God. It is what it is. Anyway, I've been doing lots of editing of my cocktail videos this week and releasing them one a day. I'm actually a week ahead now. 7 videos scheduled. 2 of them are longer and 5 of them are shorts. Because that's how I roll. And I Well, man, I've got to put more effort into those things. Uh, it's weird. I've been watching, I was going to say videos of Mr. Beast, not so much Mr. Beast videos, although I do occasionally watch Beast videos. I don't watch all of them. Uh, and But I do more often watch videos where people interview him because I find that interesting. And man, he's an individual. That guy. It's yeah. He's unique on YouTube, but everyone in their own special way is unique, I guess. But the hyper focus he's had over the last 5-10 years, and his absolute obsession with doing more and more and more, is trippy as hell, quite honestly. Not altogether sure it's healthy. He's successful, and go him. Um, but yeah, it's quite interesting seeing long form interviews with him. Like there's one I watched in pieces over a bit of time because it's 2 hours, and I did spend a lot of time on my computer this weekend, as I said, editing cocktail videos. And while things were rendering and uploading and whatnot, I was uh, watching this as well. And yeah, it's really wild. It's like as typical for someone in entertainment, and this goes for actors, singers, sports people, stand-up comedians who are successful. I mean, you basically give up any sort of a normal life to do that, which I think people don't necessarily appreciate. And I mean, Boohoo, world's smallest violin, them and their millions of dollars. But I don't think people really properly appreciate it. That these people are literally and completely giving up any chance of a normal life to do this thing they're doing. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate just how difficult that would be to do. Uh, Worse still, 99% of the people who try and achieve something in all those fields never really achieve any meaningful, long lasting success. And a lot of them, and this is particularly acting, music, comedy, waste their 20s. And by waste, I mean they can do extremely good work and have periods of being quite popular, and it never translates into a lifelong career. They don't make enough money to retire. They don't even make enough money to keep doing it. They have to stop doing it and go out and get a proper job. And they waste their 20s and they hit 30 or older, and they're like, I can't keep doing this. I have to go out and get a normie job. But they have no work experience. And so at 30, they're out there competing with 18-year-olds for entry level jobs, which sucks. And hello, Safa. Good question, Heine. Sleep with a baby in the bedroom. I don't know that everyone does that. I know I did for a while with our newborns. I don't even remember how long, actually. But without doubt, the scariest night of my life was the first night brought first baby home, because literally it's just like they just gave her to me. I'm not going to be supervised. I didn't have to pass a test to do this. No one's checking up on me. It's just me. What the fuck? And she was sleeping in our room. And I swear to God, if her breathing changed during the night, I woke up. I did go to sleep, but the slightest sound from her or change in her breathing, and I fucking woke up. I think that level of hyper alertness only happened the first night. That's how I remember it. But yeah, it's a freaking adventure. I tell you what. And the whole sleeping thing, it's weird. My two kids were in some ways opposite of each other. Young Ms. Angry was very difficult to get to sleep, but if you managed to get her to sleep, she would sleep for a long time, like she'd sleep through the night. Young Mr. Angry would fall asleep extremely quickly, but then wake up an hour later and keep doing that. He would go to sleep easily, but wake up, and then you'd have to settle him down. Then he'd go to sleep, and then he'd wake up. To the point, there was a period where we had to take turns. Like one would sleep in the opposite side of the house. We had a pretty big house at this point. One of us would sleep in the opposite side of the house where we wouldn't get disturbed by the crying. And the other one would be on baby duty that night. And that was the only way we stayed sane. You'd get decent sleep every second night. Because without doing that, you just wouldn't get any decent sleep any night. And you get wrecked real quick if you do that. So, oh gosh, I was just remembering all the trauma, like dropping them off at daycare when they didn't want to go to daycare, crying. Oh my God, that was awful. I'll just think about good things, because it is mostly good things. So, yes, the fact that they're always very funny and very entertaining kids. And just, yes, you still almost always have a good time with them. So don't want to think about the scary things, because they pass. Oh yeah, Safa, a single parent, so friggin' tough. Absolutely. What are you talking, Heiny? Who fed you snails at daycare? And where did you go to daycare that they were feeding you snails? That is very weird. Yeah, look, I imagine that would stick with you, even if it happened when you were 3. Who's the they? Was it other kids trying to make you eat snails? Because that's the thing kids would do. Kids, yes, that's what I was thinking. Megaleech. Did he go to daycare in France where escargot is a delicacy? I think I've had it. Not sure. I have this vague feeling I got adventurous and had it once. So for watching the World Cup, good for you. All right, okay. So the adults fed you something weird. One kid said they were snails. You believed it. Yeah. Okay. That's a kid thing. That is absolutely definitely a kid thing. Yeah, it's the black one. I'm just promising. Yeah, that's definitely the old-fashioned. pour myself a liqueur. Just making sure it's mixed up. Black Gold, Texas tea. You have a smattering of memories before 5. If I go back to earliest clear memories, there's some that I don't know if I think I remember them because there's photos and people tell me what the photos were. One, there's a first photo of me standing up. I'm actually leaning against a wall, but sorry, I trod on something there, but I'm not falling over. And there's another photo with my siblings looking up because a plane was going overhead. And I think I remember that, but I'm not sure I really do. But one I remember quite clearly, and I know I was very young because I'd picked up a magazine and it was this really bright colors that I really liked, and there were big letters on it, pretty ornate. And I was kind of fascinated by it. My grandfather was there, and I said, "What does that say?" And he says, "That says mad, like you're mad." So it was a Mad magazine, the satirical comic Mad magazine. And that's how I know I was extremely young because I couldn't spell MAD. And I have a really clear memory of that. That's I don't know what can be read into one of my earliest memories is about a comedic magazine. Oh God, I remember a kid crying so much first day of kindergarten. But my kindergarten, this is New South Wales kindergarten from when I was a kid. In Victoria, kindergarten's basically preschool. In New South Wales, when I was a kid, there were 3 tiers of school: infant school, primary, and secondary. Infant school was kindergarten, years 1 and 2. Primary was years 3 to 6. Secondary was 7 to 12. Now in Victoria, it's primary is years 1 to 6, and secondary is years 7 to 12. So after this was St. Mary's Kindergarten, St. Mary's Infant School, a very small Catholic school, was literally just around the block from where I live. Doesn't exist. None of my schools exist anymore. No, actually, Dubbo South High, I think, still exists. I did year 11 and 12 there. None of my Catholic schools exist anymore. There's something else in the physical location. But yeah, like St. Mary's was so small. There was only like 10 kids in each year there. And I just remember this kid crying because I don't know, it was a long way from his home and he didn't want to get separated from his mum. It wasn't a big deal for me because it was just around the block. So like walk around. Don't even know if I walked on my own or if my mum walked me around. I don't know. But I remember thinking, why is this kid so worked? Because I was my first day of kindergarten too. And yes, sorry, you said prep in Victoria. Prep is what we call kindergarten. And kindergarten in Victoria is preschool, daycare, basically. Yeah, I was thinking, why is this kid so upset? Because it wasn't that big a transition for me. Because it was just around the block from my house. It was a bigger deal for him. Yeah, I do remember that as well. And various misadventures in infant school. Oh my God, I just remembered. Friggin' nuns. This was run by nuns. Sister Bernadette did kindy, and years 1 and 2 was Sister Marina. And there were trees in the yard, big surprise. And I don't know what sort of trees they were, but there was one in particular. Sap would run down this tree. It was really, it would go hard. It was this really thick sap that would harden, but kind of looked like honey or something. And I don't know, one day one of the kids asked Sister Marina, was that honey on the tree? And then I think there might have been an argument of it is or it isn't honey. And she said, well, let's go and test it. And she fucking knew it wasn't. It was horrible tree sap. But she friggin' led these kids out and sort of breaking off a bit of this and have a bite of it. That's messed up, in my opinion. When did nuns stop teaching in Australia? I don't know. It probably is very different for very different schools. I had nuns right up to year 10. So at least the 80s. The ladder. What the fuck is the ladder? I got whacked. If I was in trouble, I'd get whacked. Don't know what the ladder is. Is that the thing like in the WWE, the ladder? You'd be at the bottom and the nun goes up the ladder and then does an elbow drop onto your head because you're in trouble. Gives you the chair. I don't know what the ladder is. If that was like go and sit on the ladder, it's like time out or sit in the corner. When I was at school, it was the ladder. The ruler. Okay, geez, dude, be careful if you ever go gardening, okay? Those are very different things. Yes, old school. I got whacked. Not a lot, but multiple times. The cane or the strap or whatevs. Dude, ladder for ruler is not a fucking type. I get that it was a mistake. That doesn't count as a typo. That's a mistake. And that's fine. Typo is when you hit the wrong key that's next to the key you meant to hit. That's me being pedantic, which is a thing I do. Be a pedantic dick. Occupational hazard when dealing with me. Sure, I still have the Cat Empire song out. First single from the... It was their first single. Okay. Cat Empire Hello was released October 2003. Its music video was Channel V's Clip of the Week, ahead of one by Justin Timberlake. There you go. It's a whole thing. The Cat Empire and Justin Timberlake. They'd be jealous of his money. He might be jealous of their integrity. Who knows? Who knows? Detention. Good question. I don't think I ever officially did have detention. It wasn't a big thing. My parents would have been bang up for it, though. It's just like, crime and punishment. They didn't have a big thing of detention when I was at school. Like I said, I got whacked. Detention, I'm not so familiar with, though. But, yeah, that's the whole thing. But I still occasionally have the dream/nightmare of being back at school and I'm supposed to have finished some work or done some homework or do a presentation and I haven't done it or I'm not ready. And oh my God, it's so fucking stressful. Unis don't punish you, Safa. They fail you. They don't punish you. You might fail units, and if you fail enough units, you get kicked out. I mean, okay. Also, if you do some terrible, egregious rule breaking, you'll get kicked out of uni. but like that has to be pretty fucking egregious. And no, I was all school uniforms through all my schools, including state school. Bit stricter at Catholic school, and in fact, they only stopped forcing the boys to wear ties in summer when I went into year 7. The high school used to force boys to wear ties in summer. Still had to wear them in winter, but this is Dubbo summers, which are regularly above 40 Celsius, and there's no fucking air conditioning in this fucking school. And they just kind of thought, we keep having boys collapse from heat stroke. Maybe we shouldn't force them to wear a tie in summer. School uniform for the Catholic school. Boys wore a blue shirt. Girls, the dresses were this pink and white. Was it gingham, I suppose, was the pattern? Somewhere between tartan and gingham. And the tie the boys had to wear, I think it was, I know the colours were, it had these stripes of blue and, sorry, red and gold. Was it a blue tie with red and gold or red gold? This is weird. I can't remember. State school I went to was white shirts. Actually, seniors was white shirts. Juniors was grey shirts. And the school tie, which wasn't compulsory, was just plain green. Yeah. Dubbo St. John's College tie. It's the internet. It'll come up. Okay, what the fuck am I doing on Bing? Fuck's sake. Images. Try this again. Dubbo St. John's College tie. Oh, yes, our school motto was Christ is my light. With this shield with blue and red and gold. Okay, so there's still okay, the girls' uniforms are completely different. Sorry. See, now I just feel compelled to share this. There you go, window. Okay, that's my school crest, and that was the colours that were on the tie. I'm trying to remember exactly how they went though, but that was my school crest with those colours. Let's see if I can find the tie. Oh man. So I think they've changed that they've radically changed the girls' uniform. Oh, holy shit, there's an old school photo. Oh, that's Dubbo High. Fuck Dubbo High. Sorry, there were 3 high schools I could have. No, there was 4. There was one in West Dubbo, Delroy. There were 4 high schools I could have gone to, and I went to 2 of them. So fuck the ones I didn't go to. I'm just looking at these old school photos. Oh god, that's ridiculous and stupid and small. ESPNCT. I tell you what, the the girls' uniforms at the Catholic school in Dubbo are better than they were when I was there. But the ties are completely different, and it's not showing me the old ties. I'm like looking up 1980. Oh well, the internet is letting me down, is what I'm saying. Because what I want is not on the first page of Google results, so it doesn't exist. Does my school have an alumnus Facebook page? I have no idea, and I don't care. Did we? The Eucharist wine in school mass. It was never the wine for in the masses where I was. The priest would do a thing with the wine. I don't ever remember having altar wine at any church service. So that's a whole thing. Huh. So yeah, I do hang out on a Facebook page. It's not an official page, but it's for people who did the course that Aidsy and I did at uni. And that's just like a social thing for people who did that course over 20 years. But yeah, I didn't do any school in house. I was at house last night. Thank you for asking. Good night. We went to a place called Societe in Malvern, just a couple suburbs away. And there's a whole weird thing where I got public transport wrong and we were not going to get to the place that I intended to go to because I got the public transport wrong. But then there was this place just there where we were called Societe, which is next to Malvern Station. And I said, well, I've heard of that. And so we went there and it was really nice. It's like French influence. I think the guy behind the bar was French. We just got these various things to share and had a few cocktails and it was good. Sort of 8 out of 10s all around. Like I definitely 8 out of 10 means would do it again. And in fact, I think this might be a good venue in summer. They have a courtyard out the back, which I think might be really good in summer. On not too hot summer days. You wouldn't want to be out in the sun and too hot. But I think we might go back there in summer for sure. It wasn't specifically French cocktails, although they did have a few French themed things. I did look. Okay, I got pics. I'll put them on Discord, and then I can share them here because the food looked really good and the cocktails were good too. This on my mobile. Hello, Discord. Oh, strictly say. All right. No, okay. I've got to bring Discord up. Strictly Sega's shared a picture of school uniform. Where are we? All right. Sorry, I want to share this one of school uniforms. God. It's like they got the dorkiest kids to pose in the school uniforms. Oh, the hats. The hats of the boaters. Oh my God. And shorts as a uniform. Oh my God. Dagorama. Greg, I noticed you actually shared a pic of the young un on the Discord. Are you okay with me sharing it? Dr. Abigail, you think that's the thing? A severe coronal mass ejection could definitely happen. And as I was looking on what happened on this day, 11 years ago, we just missed an extremely large coronal mass ejection that would have fucked us royally. The electricity grid and the communications grid would be fucked. I don't know. Did I say Dagorama? I don't know. Oh, Shriek said you had to tip your hat when you cross the street. Nice. What time did date night finish? Relatively early. We do date nights relatively early. I was in bed by 10 o'clock because I'm old. I'm going to put pictures in the cocktails section from my night out. So it's not just cocktails. Don't put a little caption on it. Date's naught. Oh, wow, that was a fun autocorrect. Date night. They're loading. They're loading. All right. Because I actually think these pictures are pretty cool. I might share them. Going on the Discord. Gotta open some pictures. All right. Hey, Cowgan Day. It's Moth Day. That's a nice one. The date night wasn't packed. It's a relatively small venue. There were other people there. Oh my God, when we got there, we were in this little outside bit and there were these really loud women. I think they were at the tail end of having several drinks together. And for no good reason, one of them in particular decided they had to talk really fucking loudly, which was, Jesus, that was a whole thing. And it's funny, we were noticing there was a big table, like with enough room for 8 people, that was marked as reserved inside. And it was like no one was getting there. And we were like, oh, those people not showing up. That'd be disappointing for the venue. And then they showed up at about 8:30. And it was these young ladies. And by young, they might not have even been 20. They were certainly under 25. And it was really freaky because they all looked the same, not identical, and in fact their outfits were quite different, but they all had hair that was some version of bleach blonde. One of them, it was a kind of gray color, which was interesting, but there was just this, I think there were like 6 of them, and there was just this sameness about them, which was really weird. They walked the same. It was super freaking weird. Hey, Justin. But anyway, I'm now going to share things from date night. Let me see. Okay, cocktails. These were the first cocktails we had. The smaller one, the one that looks smaller and further away, there's Mrs. Angry's. It was a creamy one, had a few different cream things in it. That was pretty good, but and the one that's closest to me was mine, was a tropical one. Had rum and mezcal in it. So it was really nice. It was like rummy, fruity, and then this smoke element from the mezcal was quite good. They were both quite good. If you like creamy cocktails, that was a good creamy cocktail. And let me see. Another round of cocktails. Again, that's mine, which is closest. No, that's the same ones. Okay. I'll try again. Okay, yes. So the one that was closest to me was my drink, and that's the name of the place, Societe. Uh, was a penicillin, which is a classic drink with whiskey and ginger and honey, and that elegant looking one Mrs. Angry had was like a house special. I think they called it a Cuban housewife or something. They had like rum and a few other things in prosecco. Again, they were both good. Just FYI, stuff like mezcal, uh, an agave spirit from Mexico. And here's the weird thing: like tequila is better known, but tequila is a subset of mezcal. All tequilas are mezcal, but not all mezcals are tequila. So that's a bit weird. There are different rules that define what's a tequila and what's a mezcal. And there's a few others that are rising in consciousness these days, like Rochella and Sotol. There you go. Now, the food. There were all these yummy things that were great for sharing. So we got 3 different things. That's, you can probably tell that's deep fried prawns there, slightly spicy deep fried prawns with an aioli to dip in. And then the ball things are croquettes, potato and cheese croquettes. And the thing at the far end was like a vegetarian nachos, all fucking good. It was really good. Uh, and we ended up also getting a baked brie thing they had. Uh, quite keen to go back there. And also dessert, creme brulee that we shared. That was fucking yummy too. So it's basically good venue. Liked it. Liking being close as you get to drinking alcohol is swig it. Well, depending what you've got, uh, vanilla essence can be quite high alcohol content, 40 to even 60% alcohol content. Some of it's much lower. Did they have cheeses? Oh yeah, well, like I said, we had uh, a baked brie with this sort of bread to dip in it, and it had nuts in it as well and honey. Fucking great. And we, for noting, when we go there again, uh, they had a combined cheese plate and charcuterie, so cheese and meats. We're definitely going to try that. Is going to a restaurant by yourself strange? It's down to you. I don't think you should let your style be cramped if you just want to go out on your own. Mind you, there was a fairly funny Steve Martin movie from the 80s called The Lonely Guy, where he's a single guy in New York and he's made to feel really weird about being single. And there's one scene, there's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. He goes to a restaurant, he's like, he's got a booking at a restaurant, and he comes in and he goes, yeah, I'm here for dinner. And the maitre d' is like, oh, and so who will be joining you? And he goes, I'll be dining alone. And the whole restaurant, everyone's been talking when he says, I'll be dining alone. The restaurant goes dead quiet and they all just stare at him. And the maitre d' goes, very good, sir, and leads him to a table. And everyone's just staring at him. And then a spotlight comes on and follows him to the table. And when he sits down and the maitre d' is like, is there anything else, sir? And he goes, could you switch the spotlight off? And he goes, oh, of course. And the spotlight goes off. He goes, and could everyone stop staring at me and go back to talking? And the maitre d' goes, yes, of course. It was just an exaggeration of, I think, how people often feel if they go out by themselves somewhere. Because there can be a weird social pressure that going to a restaurant by yourself is noticeable. It shouldn't be. You should just do it if you want to. That's my opinion. But society. What a dumb idea. People, whoever came up with the idea that other people should exist. Honestly, they're nothing but trouble. So, yeah. Pfft, people. What a bunch of bastards. Oh, good for you, cow hugging vegan. Do it all the time and never felt weird. And you shouldn't. But I think there is a genuine societal pressure thing that people can feel self-conscious. Cafes, I always go to cafes on my own. I'm thinking of restaurants at night. And again, you shouldn't feel strange about it. But there is an unmistakable societal pressure thing. Not that people are really going to pay attention to you, but it's like there is this weird thing, and it's stupid, and it's wrong, and it doesn't make sense. It does exist though. Gonna have some old fashioned. I'm gonna have some soda water. I've got soda water here. Notice I'm not making any videos because I'm a week ahead. I got 7 days of scheduled videos uploaded to YouTube. So I'm taking it easy tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to plan something. Already have an idea. Experiments around milk clarification, basically. And that's fair, Dr. Abigail. If you didn't go by yourself, you'd never go at all. And you should go by yourself and enjoy yourself. Just because some people are weird, you shouldn't let it get to you. But there's no getting around. Some people are weird and they have real stupid ideas about what you should and shouldn't do. Yeah, I'm sure you have friends, but they're not always up for going, yeah. I actually only made 2 videos on Friday night, one long one and one short one. Mind you, the short one, which I made halfway through the stream, I went to edit it. And I don't know that anyone else will pick it up, but I can just pick it up in my eyes. I was going like, wow, I was pretty drunk when I made this. I don't know if anyone watching it will pick it up, but I was extremely conscious of it when I was editing how drunk I clearly was. Not slurring my words or anything. It's just everything's a bit relaxed and my eyes are a bit, you know? Hey, Justin, and again, you absolutely should go on vacations by yourself. Definitely something you should do. Do I remember Friday night? Yes. I realized. Oh yeah, you could tell. Not so much when I went to bed, but like I had to get up to pee at like 2 a.m. or something, and I went to get out of bed, and I got up and just went, "Holy shit, I'm quite drunk," and it's like, and I left the stream a couple of hours ago. Damn. That was when I really. No, I didn't have a hangover. I didn't drink that much. I drank enough to be drunk, but worst I felt on Saturday was a bit tired. Had a nap on Saturday afternoon. Strictly say, you definitely shouldn't feel bad about going to the movies on your own. Oh no, Justin, you met someone called Tim Smith. Oh no. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Nothing. I remember a friend telling me, this is way back when I was at uni, because we were both sort of film heads, and he talked about. Did I? Oh yeah, I honestly, by the end of the stream, I was probably double Tim Smithed, like really not fit to be a member of society at that point. But as I was saying, this friend of mine, and he was American. He was an exchange student. He stayed here, but he came out as an exchange student to my uni. And he was talking about, because he was in what was by American standards not a big town in Oregon. It's a university town, Eugene, Oregon. Actually, he moved around lots of places. But he said he would often go to movies on his own because he wanted to go to movies more than anyone he knew did. And so he'd go on his own. But he was a bit self-conscious about it. And he had this thing he would do where, like, he's got his ticket and he'd stand outside the cinema counting down the time until the movie's about to start. And he'd be looking at his watch all the time, like he's waiting for someone. Going, ugh, ugh. And just before the movie started, he'd go, ugh, and go in. It was like he was doing this whole pantomime of, no, I'm not a sad guy going to the movies on my own. I'm going with people, but something happened and they didn't show up. So I'm just going in by myself now. But I didn't plan to come out on my own. I planned to come out with people, but they didn't show. And I thought that was kind of fun. That was a fun thing to do. I'm glad you had a fun night, Strictly Sega. I had a fun night too, even if my singing was really bad. I do remember how bad my singing was. And I was kind of obsessed with singing things on Friday night. Yeah, it's going to happen. Party night, what are you going to do? Oh. Sorry, no singing. For some reason, I've got Sinead O'Connor singing "Nothing Compares to You" stuck in my head, and I don't altogether know why. Went to the doctor. Guess what he told me? Guess what he told me? So, I thought he was going, guess what he told me? You drink too much? I was like, yeah, you're not my mum. You and your medical degree and your knowing what's bad for me. Hey, Pat, how you doing? I'm glad you got some good music suggestions. Oh, yeah, The Ghost in You. I freaking love that. Psychedelic Furs. You know what? There's an actor, and his voice always reminds, because the singer from the Psychedelic Furs has this really gravelly voice, and there's an actor. Okay, I know a movie he's in. I can never remember his name. He's been in so many movies. He's not a huge star. Michael Wincott, that's his name. He's just been in so much stuff. So I'll put him up. You'll recognize him instantly. Justin, Tim Smith was a member of the Victorian Liberal Party and a real fucking piece of shit. Just real garbage. And a couple of years ago, he got drunk, having dinner with some people, and drove home while shit-faced and crashed his car into someone's fence. It's breathalyzed. He's like 0.16 or something, like 3 times over the legal limit. And he was pressured into leaving Parliament, where he used to always say other people had to quit for whatever he conceived as a transgression. So when people said, like, you're not fit to be a member of Parliament, drink driving, when you were fucking pissed. And he was going, that's not fair. But he did eventually succumb to pressure and leave Parliament. And he's even without the drink driving, he's a fucking piece of shit. Just the worst of what the Liberal Party has to offer. Anyway, I was going to share the picture of this actor I was talking about, so you all know what's in my head. No, window. Okay. This guy. And like, he has a good face, but like, he's got this, young, sexy face when he was young. I don't know, he's like older than me. Oh, I think he was in one of the vampire movies by the looks of that. Oh, and he was in Robin Hood with Alan Rickman. There you go. See, and he has this really gravelly voice, and the lead singer from Psychedelic Furs has a really gravelly voice, and it just makes me think of him. That was Strixega, that was you. Bottle of red wine and coffee martinis. Yeah. Ah, yes. Safa, Tony Bennett just died at 96. That's an innings and a half, isn't it? And I know a lot of people pointing out he was a champion of, well, what's the right way to put it? Race relations? Like he got in trouble as far back as the Second World War for sitting down to eat with black soldiers. Civil rights, that's the way to put it. He was a champion of civil rights, marched with Martin Luther King. Okay, Dr. Abigail, now you've got my pedantry happening. An innings is just how long you're there in cricket. 150 is a century and a half. Getting out for a duck first ball is still an innings. So, yes, Angry Aussie gets pedantic. So my phrasing, 96 is pretty good. Oh, yeah. Well, someone who named their son Osama before 9/11. But there were lots of business called ISIS because ISIS was a cool name prior to the assholes. Lemonheads, good morning to you. Strictly Sega. I feel like Friday night was just about average, maybe slightly more thing. I mean, there were a couple of notorious ones, like in the first year of COVID, where I lost consciousness, not on camera. I just wandered off and didn't switch the stream off and fell asleep for several hours and then came back after several hours and going, is this still going? I did that twice. And there were a couple of times I got way more drunk than I stayed on than I did on Friday night. Not often, but it happens. You giggling like Beavis and Butthead. I love it. Okay, I didn't get that one, that the NASA stopped calling the International Space Station the ISS. Yes, there's no literal meaning to an innings and a half. Again, that is an excellent bit of language pedantry. There's really no such thing as an innings and a half. There's just an innings or two innings. There's no innings and a half. Excellent payback on the language pedantry. The French fries, honestly, here's the funny thing. I was looking for them on Saturday and I went, wait, did I have them on the stream? And I came back in here and they were still in here. NASA. How else would you pronounce NASA? You're going to say NASA? NASA? I don't know. Am I middle class? I kind of think I'm white trash, quite honestly. But you know, it's all relative. And if some of your relatives, sorry, I was just going to make some terrible, terrible joke about inbreeding. Did I say NASA? If I say NASA, I'm probably just being lazy. I would normally say NASA. But if I'm being lazy, I might have said NASA. That's where you say to someone who's wrong, NASA, nah, NASA. That's not it. Yeah, nah. Sorry. That's another fun thing I like to explain to Americans. Yeah, nah, and nah, yeah. They go, what? They go, okay. It's only the last thing that matters. I'm talking about myself. Quite honestly, I can shit talk myself as much as I want. Uh, so you're gonna have to excuse me if I shit talk myself. And there is nothing bad enough for shit talking the ruling class. Um, Worthless parasites who will one day face the gallows or the justice of the public in the town square. Uh, so there's nothing too negative to say about the fucking ruling class. Strictly say you get a drink, you say sick, ta. So Lemonheads, calling on the third. Yeah, no, okay, I'm glad you say it too. Justin, you're from the bourgeoisie, the petit bourgeoisie. I have no idea what that's in reference about Stalin. Oh, right. The string them up in the public square. Yeah, okay. You know what? You can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs, and you can't liberate the working class without executing the aristocracy. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't make the rules. That's just how it works. Hashtag jokes. Yeah. Also, yes, Dr. Abigail. Absolutely true. There are some folk for whom the term would be flattery, quite honestly. But yes. Oh my God. Getting into the heavy political talk. That's not like me. Ugh. But I don't know. Centuries of oppression and exploitation is going to come back and bite you in the ass at some place. Oh my God. See, I was actually on Reddit in the very early days of Reddit. God, now I sound like I'm being a hipster. And I've not been on Reddit at all much lately. And I keep seeing people who are into it, and these are like smart people. And I'm like, maybe I should be more into Reddit. I'm just not. Oh, Justin, you grew out in Brighton, fancy house, private school, lived overseas. Yeah, that is a privileged upbringing, but you're not a bad guy. I grew up in country town, one of 10 kids in a 4-bedroom house. So you can imagine how crowded that was. Uh, and yeah. Yeah, you know what you should do, Word? You should defend the aristocracy. You should defend the capitalist exploiters who kill millions of people. That's what you should do. You should put a huge amount of effort into protecting people who exploit 75% of the world's population, steal the labor of 75% of the world's population, and kill literally millions of people. But they need you to defend them. You should do that. I did say 4-bedroom house. So, like, I grew up in a room with 2 double bunk beds, like four of the brothers in one room. I think my parents owned the house outright, but they were boomers, so it wasn't that difficult. I'm not sure. But yeah. So yes, I grew up significant majority of the time I lived in that house was in a room with 2 double bunks. Yeah, well, Word, I hate to break it to you, but class is real, okay? And it's fucking moronic to say it's not, okay? There is like the 1% who control a disproportionate amount of the world's wealth, most of which they steal from the people who actually do the work to create the wealth. So I saying you shouldn't classify people by class is fucking moronic. I was going to say something milder, but I don't want to say anything milder. I want to say it's stupid as fuck. I want to straight up fucking stupid. The capitalist exploiters who are murderers. They are thieves and murderers. It's that fucking straightforward. They kill millions of people. They steal from billions of people, and they need to be held to account. It's that fucking simple. Safa, you're on top of things. Oh my God. You're remembering the lore. My secret brother, Raymond, the 11th family member. Again, there is no question of me being... Okay, actually, let's look that up. Because I think you raise a good point about being in the top 10% of the world, which I probably am. Let's see. How much do you have to earn to be in the top 10% of the world? Probably yes. So the short answer is I would be in the top 10% of the world. But I was talking about the top 1% and the disparity between the top 1% of the world and the top 10% is completely out of proportion with, say, the top 10% and the bottom 10%. So I'm saying one thing and then you're saying a thing that's not related to the thing I'm saying. So the gap between the top 10% and the top 1% is immeasurably bigger than the top 10% to the bottom 10%. But again, and yes, in the system that I'm forced to participate in, it is impossible to be completely ethical. Yeah, we could choose to be homeless. That's a whole thing. Again, irrelevant to my point, but the top 0.01% are definitely worse than the top 1%. But it's like, is a serial killer who kills 20 people is obviously worse than a murderer who kills one person. So I'm not going to overlook the fact the murderer killed one person. That's a completely spurious and ridiculous line of argument you're trying to push. So it's the fact that there are these people who are stealing the wealth and the labor of billions of people, and they are literally killing millions of people. Fuck off, essentially, with, oh, but you living your middle class life are better than, are more well off than 90% of the world. That is actually true. Statistically, I am better off than 90% of the world. So, and there is also the analysis some people have done, because there are a disturbing number of people in the world who are working in such appalling conditions of forced servitude that we may as well call them slaves. And everyone in the wealthy industrialized nations personally benefits from conditions that are indiscernible from slavery. Your point is the politics of envy is reductionist. No, suck my dick. You are wrong. That is fucking horseshit. My politics are not envy. That is a simple, inviolable fact. The capitalist controllers of the Western economies are exploiters. They steal. They murder. It is that simple. So suck my dick, quite honestly. It is not the politics of angry. It is straight up fucking reality. The capitalist ruling class are thieves and murderers. It's quite simple. They steal the wealth and the labor of billions. Their actions directly kill millions of people. It is that simple. It is not the politics of envy. That's fucking horseshit. It's simple, direct facts. So, no, nothing you are saying is valid. It's complete fucking horseshit. And I am not going to pretend otherwise, and I'm not going to sugarcoat, and I'm not going to play it. Why are living conditions better now than 100 years ago? By what fucking measure? Again, me in the top 10% is undoubtedly better than the top 10% of the world 100 years ago. But it's just, it's purely and simply a question of exploitation. You just, I mean, what do? Hang out on fucking PragerU or something for these stupid as fuck talking points? Local multiplex. What have the Romans ever done for us? The aqueduct. I actually saw a video where someone deconstructed that Monty Python thing, and most of it wasn't true. It's just, again, it was both funny and pointless to deconstruct a bit from a Monty Python thing. And also, local multiplex, I do also want to point out, we is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Dude, except where it fucking isn't. Except where it fucking isn't. And also, if the capitalist exploiters weren't allowed to fucking steal and fucking kill people to generate their wealth, then everything would be significantly better for a significantly larger proportion of the population. You are literally just repeating horseshit that like PragerU points out. It's like conservative media talking points that have no fucking meaning in the world. It's you're just going like, the average has gone up. The disparity between the top 1% and the bottom 50% has gotten worse in the last 100 years. The degree of exploitation inflicted on the majority of the world by a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of the population is worse than it was 100 years ago. Just talking about averages and life expectancy and whatnot, it's just like, you can't fucking pretend these cunts aren't out there just ravaging the planet, driving us to the brink of fucking extinction in the next couple centuries for their short-term fucking gain. Man, I'm getting really spirited tonight. It's probably lucky I only had as many drinks as I had. You know, have some soda water and calm down. It's just... It's just weird. It's just like, oh, so I can provide some measures that sound better than some measures from a century ago, and therefore everything's great. It's just... the percentage there, and again, what do those terms mean? The world in 1800 bears no relationship to our world today. It's no measure you can provide in the world of 1800 has any meaning in the world today. You can quantify things, like I said, like the level of exploitation is worse. The disparity between the top 1% and the bottom 50% is worse. Again, the capitalist exploiters are the scum of the fucking earth. And you know what? I won't hesitate. I would. You give me the opportunity, I'll give them a chance. I've always said I'd give them a chance. I will put them in prison. I won't drag them into the public square and exert the justice of the people. I'll simply put them in prison until every single person who is actually doing the labor that creates what they call their wealth, until every single person in that supply chain is possibly compensated, these cunts sit in prison. It's that straightforward. And if you think there's something wrong with that, then suck my fucking balls. It's that straightforward. They are thieves, exploiters, and murderers. And uh, this ridiculous idea that they should be allowed to fucking continue this level of exploitation is just evil. And I think I'm being really fucking generous in saying I'll just throw them in prison until everyone who does the actual work that creates the wealth they claim as their own is compensated. I think I'm being fucking generous. And yes, Dr. Abigail, again, this is a sort of cockhead who watches PragerU and thinks they're making points. It's just not real. It's these platitudes that right wingers tell themselves so they can fucking sleep at night, and they are lies and platitudes, and they gloss over just the horrific levels of exploitation that happen in the world. So nice work on you, Justin. Top 2.8%. God damn. So I actually just wanted. Oh no, that's not what I wonder what the source for that was. I think something should come up to find out what the source. Absolute poverty. 1800 versus 2015. According to the UN. There you go. Oh, that's an interesting definition of it. Oh god, where was it? Oh god, I need summaries. Damn it, I don't want to read long things. Defined on people who are living on less than $1.90 international a day. Wait, is that inflation adjusted? The breadline. The total cost of 1 year's worth of necessities, housing is the largest part. Yeah, infrastructures. It's okay. God, this is like an academic exercise. Positive poverty threshold, measure of income inadequacy by taking the cost of food, multiplying by a factor of 3. Oh god, this is quality fucking content. Me reading shit. Oh, Justin, no, that's actually not true. Well, actually, depends how you're going to measure it. I looked at where would you have to be in the top 10%, and I would be in the top 10%, but just so. So yeah, Justin, you're actually categorically wrong about people being in the top 5%. I get a fairly good paying job, and I just make the top 10%. So, but yeah, that's. I mean, it's above average even for Australia, I think. Oh no, Lemonheads, you're in the relegation zone. Oh no. But yeah, um, yeah, I would have read more about that absolute poverty thing, but as I said, I don't think it's very scintillating conversation. Me reading uh, uh, um, web pages because my big thing was wanting to know if that's inflation adjusted. Because again, comparing an arbitrary amount of money in 1800 to that same arbitrary amount of money now is ridiculous. Um, and I could have read further because there's the whole thing about absolute poverty is not being able to afford to live and eat. So it would mean not having stable housing and uh, uh, not having food security. Even in the US, apparently 20% or more people are in a state of what could be described as food insecurity. And what that literally means is these are people who can't be absolutely sure where their next meal is coming from. And if the level of exploitation in the US has gotten that bad, my God. And also, yeah, Dr. Abigail is saying you're in the top 15%. And I think is you're already saying like it's the chart for um uh the wealth, the bottom 10%, 20%, it goes up gently, even to the top 10% is not that huge a leap from, say, the bottom 50%, but from the top 10% up to the top 1%, it gets to the point where the line on the chart gets almost vertical. So the gap between the top 10% and the top 1% is not the same as the gap between the top 10% and the top 20%. In fact, the top 10% are closer to the bottom 10% than they are to the top 1%. So it's weird. Okay, so Justin did put a thing in the Discord. Where is it? How rich am I? United States of America. Uh, Australia. Fuck off. I don't know what my post tax income is. All right. Saying I'm in the richest 2.4%. I I I don't think I believe what this is saying. I don't think that's actually accurate. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, as you say, the oligarchs, the and in fact there is a huge gap between the top 1% and the top 0.01%. So again, the comparisons cease to make any sense after a certain point. Um, but in my humble opinion, it's an unarguable point that the oligarchs are exploiters, thieves, and murderers, in as much as their actions or inaction directly causes the death of many, many people. And they are definitely stealing the labor of people around the world. Yes, and the disparity between the oligarchs and the ordinary folk is at obscene levels at the moment. And in fact, historically, has always led to violent revolution, which is not something I'm advocating now because that shit always goes wrong. But I'm just saying, in terms of history, that level of disparity and exploitation in the past has always led to violent revolution. Uh, so, the oligarchs should be careful, is what I'm saying. Strictly Sega, what did I have for dinner? I had light and easy for dinner. Tonight, I'm taking the easy route. It was meatballs and rigatoni. It was pretty good, quite honestly. So, yeah. I've been doing most of my meals have been the pre-made ones. I was in a bit of a mood this morning. I made a bacon sandwich for breakfast, and I made Mrs. Angry bacon and eggs because I'm a good guy. And and lunch was light and easy, but it's the thing I made up there with their mac and cheese. I also cooked up some onions and mushroom and mixed it all up, and it was very yummy. Not. Oh, Megaleech living the life. Steak with mash and gravy. That sounds great, honestly. Oh yeah, no. Strictly saying, you're saying. Safa pointed out. Musk made some ridiculous pronouncement that he's actually going to change the logo and even the name of the site. It's like the guy is a fucking moron. Ooh, kebabs with sizzle steaks. Yes. Yes. Oh, that sounds good. I would buy those again. There's the really thin sliced meat. It cooks really quickly. I love marinating those for ages. And then, yeah, you cook them and it's fucking yum. I like it. Oh, yeah, he did say goodbye though. But it was just like, he was just spouting bullshit, vacuous right wing talking points. Yeah, Strict say, I have no idea what he's doing. It's really fucking weird. It is really fucking weird what Elmo is doing. But it's like, is he literally setting $40 billion on fire? I don't know what he's doing. And Justin, I would also bet that Zuckerberg is laughing at Musk. And I think Zuckerberg probably needed the laugh because things haven't gone well for him for several years. So I think he probably needed the laugh of Musk outing himself as an absolute fucking clown to the world. Oh yes, that dude was definitely a right winger. He was just spouting absolutely vacuous talking points. Oh, Stalin and Mao killed people. Yes, they fucking did because they were authoritarians. They masqueraded under another name as opposed to capitalist authoritarians, but they were just authoritarians. And yeah, authoritarians are fucking bad. That was sody water I'm drinking. I think I won't drink any more alcohol tonight. I got fairly spirited. Again, just because someone just spouting such hackneyed fucking right wing talking points and acting like they're a fucking intellectual, for fuck's sake. Have you been on Threads? I know, I think Threads is doing well. I have Threads, and it links to your Instagram because I have an Instagram. So if you're on here, Blue Sky, I'm on Blue Sky too. What's happening on Blue Sky? Connect. Aaron Sorkin has a lot to answer for. Oh, shit. Speaking about Elmo. Okay. This guy, Sam Altman, who is A tech bro? He thought the Oppenheimer movie should have inspired physicists, but they missed the mark. He doesn't get that nuclear bombs are bad, and Elmo Mush is agreeing. Oh my god. Jesus fucking Christ, people are idiots. As someone saying, like this dickhead Sam Altman saying, the social network managed to make people want to be founders, not getting that Mark Zuckerberg's the bad guy in the social network, not getting that nuclear weapons are bad in Oppenheimer. Um, and someone in response going, yeah, why didn't Silence of the Lambs create more fashion designers? Oh, oh no. I feel like I was a bad influence there, strictly saying. If your Sophie was in bed and needed a bucket. It was fun though. Yes. I know I didn't ban him. Just wanted to have some friend thing. Room temperature in here, I have no idea. This is not the warmest part of the house though. Armadillos. There's some armadillo discourse going on. Some tonsillitis discourse. Someone's on social media. One time I referenced a meme to this guy I was dating, and he'd never heard of it. So I showed him the meme, and his response was, so I'm just supposed to memorize all your little pictures in order to have a conversation with you? Not a day goes by. I think. Ooh, okay, this is a fun bit of thing. Call to ban fur farming to avoid pandemic risks, in addition to it being unethical. Fuck fur farming, man. Poultry farms are going to kill us. That was the thing I put in the theme, and we haven't even done it. Should I finish the stream by being a real downer? But that's a more fun one, Srikasega. You don't make me feel like I'm a woman anymore. Yeah, and that was a good joke to just get the guys in the pub to sing it. Okay, so when I was looking on what happened on this day that I can use for the name of the stream, there are a few things like it's Haile Selassie's birthday. There are a few other really interesting things, but also, as I found out 11 years ago, there was a much larger than usual coronal mass ejection, which sent the bloody solar flare waves. Missed us by 9 days. Apparently, where this stream of radiation went, if it had happened, I don't know if it was 9 days earlier or later, it would have hit Earth like smack and absolutely butt fucked our electricity and communications grid. It was interesting. Like Wikipedia said something like could have caused. Actually, I'll look it up. Was it some trillions of dollars? Wiki for 23 July. Okay. Okay, so as they phrase it, where are we? Oh, no, those are births. I want events. Events. Solar storm of 2012. An unusually large and strong coronal mass ejection missed Earth margin of approximately 9 days as the equator of the sun rotates around its own axis. Region that produced the outburst was not directly towards Earth at the time. Was predicted to have been comparable to the 1859 Carrington event that caused damage to electrical equipment worldwide, which was mostly telegraph systems. Had the CME hit the Earth, it's likely would have inflicted serious damage to electronic systems on a global scale. Resulting geomagnetic storm may have had a string of blah, blah, blah. Economic cost to the United States would have been between 600 billion and 2.6 trillion. Is the thing. And professor at China's State Key Laboratory estimated recovery time of such a disaster would be 4 to 10 years. Seriously, that's 90% of the Earth's population dying. I'm just throwing it out there. A mass coronal ejection that hits us and fucking smacks into us has happened in the past. We just barely missed one 11 years ago. It not only would fuck communications and electrical systems, 4 to 10 years. It's Mad Max stuff. 90% of the world's population would die. Could you imagine just like that? The electricity grid goes out and the communications grid goes out and it doesn't come back. How does the government communicate with anyone? They don't. They can't. How do supply chains continue to function? They don't. They can't. It could also destroy the electronic ignition systems in cars, so vehicles stop working. It's basically 90% of the world's population dying over a decade. Doomsday. Also, if at any point this gets too depressing for anyone, just tell me, because the reason this popped into my head was reading someone's talking about fur farms should be banned because despite being unethical, they're a terrible risk for pandemic vectors. And yeah, they are, but there's not so many of them. Poultry farming will kill us. You talk to epidemiologists and they're fucking terrified of industrial poultry farming is just playing Russian roulette with about 3 bullets in the chamber. I don't know if you're joking, Justin. The 2012 thing was a misinterpretation of the Mayan calendar and is complete horseshit and meaningless. Is Woody Harrelson actually an anti-vaxxer? I know he's way into the weed and stuff, and people who get heavily into the weed say weird things. But yeah, okay. So when I'm talking about doomsday effects, climate change is just a thing that is happening that we are on an all but unavoidable collision course with, which, oh God, if I want to get really depressing and talk about the worst effects of climate change, inundation of close to sea level nations, which are some of the poorest people in the world, but industrialized nations that have some of their biggest cities on coastlines, yay. So, yeah, I personally have no doubt over the next century or so, climate change will directly kill millions of people, if not billions, cause tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of refugees, which is going to make the world collapse into fascism as countries just put the military on their borders and fucking machine gun people who are trying to flee from places that are underwater. So that's me being super depressing about climate change. Dr. Abigail, there are ways to mitigate the electronic grid from CME. Most third world countries hardening the power grids. Well, yep, and I hope that works because I have very deep fears that a serious one would just fuck things up. Okay, another fun one. A super volcano. The number one candidate is Yosemite in the US. There is a non-zero chance a supervolcano could erupt in the Yosemite National Park in the US, which would give us the equivalent of a nuclear winter across the entire globe, probably for a number of years. Again, the actual explosion from the supervolcano would probably destroy several American states, and the cloud of ash would probably cause several years of winter. Again, so a supervolcano could kill about 90% of humanity. I love that you're saying, to be fair, we'd still be fucked from a CME. Yeah, I'm absolutely not an expert on the super volcano thing. I know it's a possibility. Last I read, the experts were saying they didn't think it was a high probability, but it's a possibility. Coronal mass ejection is probably my favorite one, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, Dr. Abigail, but I think a CME is largely unpredictable. Like it could just happen. I'm trying to go through my list of most likely. Global catastrophe from climate change is all but inevitable, but will happen slowly over a century or two. CME feels to me like one of the more likely ones and would be instant. And yes, Justin, nuclear wars still not off the table because the amount of nuclear weapons that exist around the world. A devastating pandemic remains a high risk as far as I'm concerned. We could do CME another night if you want, or tonight. I don't care. Up to you. Fucking a global pandemic is like sort of Damocles. It's always there. Could just fucking happen like that. What else? What are the other good ones? Oh, another long-term, medium, slowish one is antibiotic-resistant infections, which, again, I know a lot of people in medical world are freaking out about because all the signs are there of this being a thing. If that happens, can you imagine hospitals being the most dangerous places on the earth to be? Like surgery just not being a viable option because you will fucking die if someone cuts you open. Could you imagine the mortality rates? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Dr. Abigail's up for a final 20 minutes talk on coronal mass ejections, which, again, one of my favorite apocalypse scenarios. I'm probably forgetting a couple. There are a bunch of things that are just waiting to fuck us up. Not necessarily wipe out humanity, but absolutely fucking smash what we regard as society. And humans may or may not come out to the other side of it in 50 to 100 years or longer. Who knows? But there's so many things just waiting to fuck us up. Dr. Abigail, hello.
Hello. Hello. Am I
So,
good?
yeah, you're there. What are you going to tell us about? Okay, so my
Okay.
big thing, are CMEs unpredictable or are they to a
They
degree
they
predictable?
come in cycles,
Yeah.
11-year cycles.
Yeah, and we just, yeah, it was 11 years ago. It was
Yeah.
the one that dismissed us.
So the sun has an 11-year cycle.
Yeah,
And yes, we are at that point
yeah,
where it could happen now.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and uh, well, and by 11-year cycle, it has an 11-year sunspot cycle,
yeah.
but it also has like a roughly 100-year. It's a different cycle. I don't know the actual name of it.
Yeah.
I'm not an astrophysicist or
Damn.
anything,
Okay.
but I know I studied computer science, like, huh. But yes, we are due for
Yeah,
another CME. We are
yeah,
literally due for one.
yeah.
Um, they're unpredictable in that they can happen at any time, but we can predict ballpark when they're due,
We can predict the
which
highest
is
risk
now.
periods. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we are in the risk period now.
yeah,
Um, um, So yes, there's so SAFA, yeah, it's the sunspot cycle is 11 years.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, Safa, when you're throwing about COVID, what epidemiologists are worried about are a pandemic with a 10 to 50% fatality rate. COVID had a less than 1% fatality rate. And also, they're worried about
mm,
pandemics for which we failed to develop any sort of meaningful vaccine or treatment.
yeah.
Uh, and the people who are responsible for looking into these things are shit scared. The entire they've been That's why for the last several decades, whenever there were avian flu outbreaks or Ebola outbreaks, you saw these people freaking out. And then when it didn't turn into a big thing, people went, "Oh, they don't know what they're talking about." Because no, the sad thing is they know what they're talking about, and they go,
Yeah.
"If this shit gets out of control, we are so fucked." Um, and
So,
probably the highest risk vector is poultry farming. But factory
oh,
farming
because
generally is an horrific
yeah.
risk to humanity.
So, the thing about coronal mass ejections
Yeah.
is that we won't see it coming because it travels at the speed of light.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it would just be
So,
like,
yeah, we'll know it's there when it's on top of us.
yeah. When
So,
and would it also be possible that the radiation could be bad enough to harm humans when it hits, or is it just the electrical system?
no, so what'll happen is the ionosphere will protect us from the worst of the radiation.
Okay.
So we'll be fine. It's just
Yeah.
that it's the electrostatic discharge that will fry electronics
Yeah.
and the power grid. Because this happened in the
Yes.
turn of the
In
century and
in the
everyone was fine.
1800s,
Just,
but the only
yeah,
thing that was in place was telegraph systems, and
telegraph.
they all
Yeah.
they all
So,
got completely fried.
yeah, but no, there wasn't like mass deaths. There, like, it was
Because
just the
they didn't have
telegraphs.
an electrical system, so they weren't dependent on it. We're dependent on it. So I personally, and this is me being a doomsayer, I don't know, I love being a doomsayer. I believe it would be a rapid and extremely violent societal collapse. And I'd see
Okay.
90% of humans dying over a decade.
I would question those figures and would wonder
I'm
where you
making them
got
up.
them from.
I am straight up pulling
Okay,
them out of my
so
ass. Um,
yeah, so I don't trust. I love you to death, but I do not trust your figures. I would like to see
okay,
some
not trusting things that
calculations,
fall
please.
out of my ass. Fine. Okay.
Hang on, Megaleech has some numbers here. CME's traveling outwards from the sun. Okay, so they travel slower than the speed of light. Okay, that's good to know. Um, Faster CME can reach out in, okay, 15 to 18 hours. Slower CMEs can take several. Okay, so even at best case scenario, a satellite just so happens to detect a CME,
Yeah.
it's probably dead. We probably detect it because we just lose the satellite.
Yeah.
It's gone. And we
Yeah.
figure, oh, the satellite's down. I wonder why. Could it be a CME? I don't know. You can't see it. It's charged particles.
Yeah.
Um, so you'll get a satellite dying,
Yeah.
and it'll be like it'll be a satellite where
Yeah.
around the sun. There's no satellites that orbit the sun,
Yeah.
except for at the Lagrange point, and that won't it like the way orbits work.
Yeah.
It won't hit that satellite.
Yeah.
So we just won't see it coming
Yeah.
unless it's like big and bright.
Yeah.
Show up as partial or full halo corona as they propagate away from the sun. So
So I'm also thinking this
Soho.
when
Oh
you're
yeah,
talking
so
about satellite.
Soho. Soho watches the sun. So it sits at Lagrange point between the Earth and the Sun. It's a solar observatory. Helio spectroscopy observatory, something like that.
Yeah.
It's taken some beautiful pictures of the sun and the corona. It would be the satellite that spots a coronal mass ejection. We would have, best case scenario, we would have days to respond, which is not enough time. So we would need years to prepare for it, which we are currently doing. We're and by we I mean governments
Governments around the world.
and private organizations because of
Yeah.
privatization. So
Yeah.
as far as I'm aware, the Victorian government has been hardening the electrical system, I think, around Victoria.
Yeah.
And I think the mobile network.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please just tell me I'm right, because I cannot survive
honestly
in
don't
a
know.
Mad Max scenario.
I'd love to work in a government worst case scenario analysis group, because there are about 20 things our governments should have an active plan for, and I fear they don't. And Justin did put a Kurzgesagt video on the Discord about solar storms. Kurzgesagt are fun.
Okay.
I like their stuff.
So there is one thing that keeps me, one doomsday scenario that
What's
keeps
your
me up
one?
at night.
What keeps you up at night?
Vacuum energy collapse.
Megalich mentioned that. Yeah.
0 point. It's basically a collapse of the Higgs field.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the Higgs field or the Higgs particle.
Okay, well, I know everything, but pretend there's some people who don't, and explain it for people who don't.
Okay. Sure. The Higgs
Say no
field.
more.
The Higgs field is responsible for what gives particles mass. And if I don't know if you're aware, mass is what gives particles a state of matter.
Right.
And substance. And I'm quite fond of having mass.
You're fond of having mass?
And other things having mass and being able to interact with other things. So and parts of my body interacting with other parts of my body, etc. And so without the Higgs field, matter would not be able to interact with itself, and everything would just decay to nothing.
So that's a theoretic possibility?
So no, well, I mean, the Higgs field is not at its lowest possible energy state. It's at a local minimum.
Yeah.
Do you know what a local minimum is? It's a mathematical point where it's at how do you explain this?
Quantum field theory, a false vacuum is a hypothetical vacuum that's relatively stable, but not in the most stable state possible. This condition is known as metastable. It may last for a very long time in that state, but could eventually decay to a more stable state, known as false vacuum decay. Most common suggestion of how such a decay could happen in our universe is called bubble nucleation. If a small region of the universe by chance reached a more stable vacuum, this bubble would spread. Existential threat. If our uniform's in a false vacuum state rather than true vacuum state, decay of the less stable false vacuum to the more stable true vacuum could have dramatic consequences. The effects could range from complete cessation of existing fundamental forces to subtle
Yeah.
changes. All right, so everything we know as reality could cease to exist. Okay.
Yep. In the
Oh
Not
god.
even the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Just gone. Just
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Right. Well,
You would not
also,
see it coming.
I want to throw in. There's a few others. Of
I
course.
I would be curious what these subtle changes would be.
Yeah, I know that would be fun. But
Subtle
also
changes.
a non-zero one, but one that I don't think would ever happen is alien invasion. It could theoretically happen, like aliens taking us out, but kind of on par with when we were talking about CMEs, coronal mass ejections. I started to hear Billy Bob Thornton in Armageddon. Like, why didn't you see that asteroid heading through Earth? Well, sir, our budget's only this much, which allows us to scan about 1% of the sky. And begging your pardon, sir, but it's a big ass sky.
So,
And
musical
the number of
aviator.
near misses we've had with uh, 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 spatial objects is
Oh,
pretty wild.
yes. So, musical aviator, it would propagate from the place where it changed, where the change happened at the speed of light, which has nothing to do with light. It's the speed of causality
Yeah,
in a sphere growing out. Yes, that is
yeah.
exactly right. Um,
I love this one from
Megalich,
Megaleech.
I've
There's a book
oh
called
yeah,
Death
Phil
from
Plait.
the Skies.
Yes,
Well,
Phil
that
Plait
sounds
has a
cheerful.
great.
That sounds cheerful.
He wrote that ages ago. I haven't actually read it yet. He has a great sense of humor and a great way of communicating. Um, the a diagram you've posted on Discord does that is the right diagram, obviously. Requires explanation. I don't know if because I haven't read it. Um, it is possible for a Higgs particle to quantum tunnel itself out of that local minimum into the global minimum and cause a spontaneous vacuum decay, which is scary. Like at any point, it could just happen anywhere in the universe, and almost certainly has happened um, many times. Like
To be
because the
fair,
universe is vast.
and we are just throwing out things that we know as real or theoretical possibilities. But of course, we don't know everything. Shit could happen with no warning that we have no scientific understanding of and had no expectation of that could like fuck us up really suddenly. It's just the
Hmm.
universe is vast and unknowable. Or at least no, it's
Yeah.
it's knowable, but there's a bunch of stuff we definitely don't know. Uh,
But also, the universe is expanding, and that expansion is accelerating,
yeah,
and that rate of acceleration, like this bubble of vacuum decay,
yeah,
the universe could expand so fast that the 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 bubble of vacuum decay won't be able to reach us because of the expansion of the universe will outpace it. So it may never hit our solar system.
yeah. And you know what? Non-zero chance God might be real, or a godlike being might be real and might finally look at this bunch of argumentative talking monkeys and go, well, that was a fucking mistake. And snap their fingers and take us out of existence. And honestly,
True.
I wouldn't completely blame them. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm putting my money on a simulation. we are all in a simulation.
Yeah.
And one day the beings that are simulating us will just switch it off.
I think they'll do it accidentally. Like they'll have to vacuum the floor
Oh,
and they'll pull the
no,
wrong plug out of the wall.
it'll be daddy, bring your daughter to work day,
Yeah.
and one of the kids will just say, "Oh, what's this do?" and just pull a plug, and
Yeah.
a server will go down, and like a quarter of the sky will just
Yeah.
blink out,
That will be
and
us.
people
Yeah.
go, "What the hell?" And it'll invalidate the experiment, and they'll have to reset the whole thing.
Yeah. Oof.
Mm.
That's just making me think of The Peripheral, William Gibson's most recent novels, the guy who popularized the concept of cyberspace. One of my favorite authors, great SF author. His most recent ones in a series he calls The Peripheral, where it's really fucking fascinating. It's like people are working and these computer generated worlds are so complete, they're actually real. Um, and
Yep.
the people in this one reality, and there's even this vague thing, no one fucking knows how they came into being. There's rumors it was the Chinese military or something, but you can connect to one of these things they call stubs, these alternate realities. And once you connect to them, and you are connecting them at various points in your past, but you're now in a real time relationship with them. Each hour in your world is an hour in that world. So someone from 2050, which is where these people are from, which is after an apocalyptic thing happened that took out 90% of the world's population, they call the jackpot. It was just multiple things cascade, and it was like climate change, pandemic, civil unrest, and other things all happened at once and just cascaded. And but weirdly, and this is kind of like post bubonic plague, the survivors are in a really strong economic position, which is fucking weird.
less people,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
resources to go around.
Everyone has more resources per head.
Yeah.
And
So,
uh,
um,
yeah.
Megaleech, you're welcome. For every doomsday scenario, there's probably a kind of a comforting story for it.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I guess,
Um,
unless
they
it's
did
zombies. If it's
Prime
zombies, you're just
Video.
fucked.
Prime Video had a adaptation of The Peripheral, which is great.
I
It,
watched that.
it actually
It,
made
it,
me want to go back and reread The Peripheral because it changed the source material enough that it was like,
I I
well, this is
don't
interesting.
understand. I don't understand the concept of like the threads, the timeline threads that they set up, like
Well,
creating
and
new threads and
the people in
being.
the world don't actually understand them. So there's like, if you say there's this one prime world and they're connecting
Mm.
through a computer to these things that they refer to as stubs, they're alternate
Oh,
realities.
stubs. Yep.
Yeah. And they've gone, these aren't computer simulations, these are real. And
Yeah.
and in fact, I need to go back to the book because I feel like the TV series did some stuff that's actually more fucked up than the book, in that
Yeah. Fair
people
enough.
were deliberately fucking around with stubs. They were doing weapons testing and shit.
Yeah.
And it's because some people convince themselves this is just a computer simulation, but other people are going, I think it's real. I think what you're doing is real, and those are real
Yeah.
people. And we don't understand why or how, but that's really fucked up that you're doing weapons testing in these alternate realities.
Yeah.
Oofed. So
For sure.
that's a head scratcher to finish the stream on. Um, and I'm going to go sleepy bobos and bid you find people. All right, I need to do the ceremony because I did
The
have a cherry.
eating of the cherry.
Cherry. So the stream's officially
I
over
do
now.
not
But
have
I've eaten the cherry.
I do not have a cherry to eat.
Oh,
no.
yummy. Okay. So, look, everyone, take care. What am I watching tomorrow, Safa? I think we're going to continue with The Mandalorian, and we finished season 2
I'm
last week.
I'm watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've
Oof.
never watched it.
Mhm.
I thank you, Megaleech. Save it for the after party.
Yeah.
I've never watched it. On my son's recommendation, I've started watching it. I started watching it last night. I'm up to season 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that show is funny as fuck.
It really is.
Unbelievably.
Doing
They
a
are the
comedy
most
series,
awful people.
a comedy series based around the worst people in the world.
They don't even pretend to be nice people.
Yeah.
And they're just sociopaths.
They're worse. And the worst of the lot's definitely Dennis, who may or may not be a serial killer, because some of the
Yeah.
shit, because he's like the best looking and most charismatic of them. And you listen to him and you go, he might have people locked in a
He
cellar somewhere. He's
he
bad.
is genuinely just awful. Like,
He's
they're all
awful.
awful, but
They're all
he is
awful, but Dennis is
creepy
the
awful.
worst. Dennis might
Yeah,
have people locked in a cellar somewhere.
and he wouldn't think twice about it. Like,
Oh, because there's a whole thing in a later series. There's one bit where he talks about the implication.
spoiler.
Yeah, well, no, he's just talking about getting people to do things, and it's essentially by implying that something bad will happen to them, and one of his sidekicks is going, "That makes you sound bad." No, I'm not going to do it. It's just the implication. I think you might be a serial killer. It's just like,
Yeah, he's already yikes.
yeah,
Oh,
he's yikes. Anyway,
but
all right. Good
the
night,
show
you
is
fine
really fun.
people. So I'm probably
Good
going to
night.
watch the episodes of The Mandalorian the episode of Boba Fett that have The Mandalorian in them, but not the other ones, because the other ones are a waste of fucking time, honestly.
If
And then we'll
anyone
do
has science questions, hit me up.
and prepare some for maybe Tuesday night. Probably do a stream on Tuesday, unless I'm doing takeaway, but who knows? Because I missed takeaway because young Mr. Angry had cold and flu-like symptoms, which might have been COVID, so I wasn't going anywhere near him.
Oh,
But
no.
see you all another time.